Welcome back, everyone, to our playthrough of the career mode here in NASCAR Heat 2. So I am very excited coming off of our last race. Our Cup race at Texas in particular got me excited, which might seem odd considering the fact that we finished 31st. That's generally not where you want to finish, and granted, I don't want to finish 30th and 31st in these races, but I consider it a big-time victory, not because we finished 31st, but because in that race, let's be realistic, we could have finished maybe top 15 with a 3-star car at Texas anyway. But what that really means is that we were able to really affect our finishing spot by a good 10 to 15 spots. That's what I'm focused on, and that is a great sign going forward for our science project. It gives me an idea sort of the minimums and maximums that I can deal with. And that's something you have to do whenever you're testing things out. It's not always going to be that you get it right on the first time. You're going to have some trial and error. So we finished 31st in that race, which was, again, a good 10 to 15 spots behind where we reasonably could have finished with a decent setup. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I've made notes on my setup sheet about that so that I'll know some ideas in the future as to how that setup combination worked at a particular track in a particular car. So now the question is, where do we go from here? Well, we're back in the Xfinity series for our next race. But before we get to that, I want to take a quick look at the schedule. We're headed to Bristol next. We know that. We saw that at the very end of our previous video. But if you look out a little bit, you can see that we also have Richmond coming up right after that, another short track. So we've got 2 short tracks in a row. Then we head to Talladega, where who knows what's going to happen. And then we head to Charlotte, so back to a mile and a half. So we got a nice amount of variety coming up in our next few races. And then, of course, who knows? We might have another hot seat offer thrown in the middle of all that. So this should be good. Bristol is, just like I mentioned previously with Martinsville, Bristol is a place where we've had tons of success to this point in our career. So now it's going to be interesting to see how much of that success we can carry forward. Can we win? Can we dominate? Or will we have a setup that will basically allow us to only get to the top 10 or 15? Those are the fun things that I'm looking forward to in these races, and I can't wait to get started. Before we get started in the race itself, let's take a quick look at the setup. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I basically just want to pull it up onto the screen for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. And it's going to look very similar to what we've used at other tracks. I'm really honing in on what I like and what has really taken a lot of speed out of the cars. So this is something you should expect to see going forward. I might make little tweaks here or there, but for the most part, what I'm focusing on is front weight and track bar for the most part as we go from track to track, just seeing what works out and what takes what amount of speed out of the car. So with that being taken care of, let's head to the race. All right, folks, here we go at Bristol. We are green, and I see an opportunity to get to the bottom, and I'm going to take it. That was a risky move, but I knew I had to get to the bottom. I can't get stuck up top because those guys, I feel like a broken record having to talk about this at every single track, but the AI just simply don't know what to do around each other or me in tight quarters. So I'm going to try to stay on the bottom and give them as much room as I can, which is very, very hard to do at Bristol. So we started 26th, sort of mid-pack, a little bit behind that. But overall, the setup is doing what I wanted it to do. It really, really tightens up the car and makes it very hard to roll through the center and get a good run off the corner. So we're going to have a hard time making passes here. But if we're going to be able to do it, it's definitely going to be on the bottom. So I'm using a little bit of brake on corner entry, mostly because of the AI directly in front of me. And I'm trying to make sure I give them room, because they are definitely prone to slamming on the brakes at any moment on their own. All right, so we're up to 22nd. You see there's a car back behind us. I can't tell who it is, but they're trying to get on our inside as well. So you got 2 and 3 wide all over the place on the track right now, and that is not good. We really need these guys to get it spread out as possible. The good news is it's a 39-lap race, so there's a little bit of room. Not as much room at Bristol as I would like. I mean, this is a great racetrack to to run, and it's a track that I would love to run at least 100 laps. But we're not going to have that here. It's really not feasible at this particular point in the career mode for us to be doing that. All right, so we're up to 15th, and I have no idea how that happened because I don't feel like I'm going fast at all. But it's the benefit of being on the bottom, and these guys get jammed up in packs on the high side, running side by side, and it really slows them down. So that's how we're able to make some passes. So far, so good. We're going to try to continue making our way forward. And again, I'm using the brakes a lot on corner entry. Oh my goodness. All right, so he really crammed it in there. Okay, that was the 00 that ran into us on corner entry there and almost wrecked us. Being extremely aggressive, which is fine. It's Bristol. You get used to that kind of stuff here. But I'm doing all I can to try to get around the 22 car here. And unfortunately, that part of that means that I need to be able to let the car go up some in the center of the corner to let it rotate and try to keep some speed. The better the car rotates, the tighter to the bottom we can keep it and actually maintain some semblance of speed. But not with this setup. I need to let it drift into corners and diamond the corner as much as I can. Ouch! Got hit by somebody, and I couldn't tell if that was the 00 or the, I think it's the 19 out there to our outside right now. 18 or 19. Oh, that was a good run off the corner there. All right, are we clear, or the spotter's not saying anything, so I can't tell. I assume we're clear because I see the 00 behind us who is going much higher. All right, let's try it. Let's see if we can get up there. Yeah, okay, there's nobody there. Never good when your spotter just goes silent at Bristol. So here on lap 14, we're up into the top 12. Let's see how much higher we can take that. We've got two cars for position immediately ahead of us. At some point, pretty soon, I would imagine, we're going to start to get into lap traffic. And that's when it really gets interesting at Bristol. Because we're going to have slower cars on the high side, the low side. Who knows where we'll need to go in order to work our way through that traffic as it happens.
Stay on the bottom. Hold steady wheel. Clear. Outside, real tight.
But yeah, absolutely love this track. And yes, I say that about a lot of the tracks on the circuit because, quite frankly, I just love racing in a lot of respects. So it doesn't much matter where we're going. As long as it's a racetrack, I'm in. So we're almost to the top 10. We can get by the 98 or the 88, as the case may be. We'll be in the top 10, and I noticed that the 00 is still hot on our tail. So he obviously has a car that can get to the front as well. And he is the major reason why I am covering the bottom as much as I am. I'm trying to get myself used to not using the high side, even on the straightaways, because we're having to spend so much time on the bottom to make passes. Alright, we've gotten into a little bit of a groove here. And again, this is one of those times where I wish we were running, 100 at least laps. I wouldn't mind running a few hundred laps at a place like this. Ooh, stay down here, car. Alright, let's see if we've got some speed here. I don't want to get off the bottom too much because the 00 will be calling. Oh, turn, car. That's what I get for letting it float into the corner, but a little bit too hard. All right, now we're into our first lap traffic for us. All right, the 00 is now to our outside, and that may be the place to be. unless I can get the 40 up off the bottom.
Outside, hold your line.
But the 40 wants to run right on the bottom as it looks like he's trying to make a pass as well. Welcome to Bristol, baby. Traffic everywhere. Oh, can I get underneath him?
Hold steady wheel. Clear up top. All clear.
How in the world are we all clear of that mess? They must have gotten into each other. All right, so we got 15 laps to go. And we are in the top 10. So we're going to try to get Black to the top. Okay, looks like he's giving us the bottom. But I think we're 3 wide.
Outside's clear. Outside, real tight. Clear.
All right, clear. That's what I like to hear. Lots and lots of lap traffic here. I have no idea who's in 8th position and where they are on the track. I'm just going to keep running as hard as I can.
Clear low, stay low.
Normally I just
Hold steady wheel. Clear,
pull
clear.
up the leaderboard, but right now I don't really have time to look at it. We're around so many other cars. Here at Bristol, if you can get even a few laps of clean track, then that is considered a massive amount of rest on your mind, because your mind is really what goes through the most stress at this place. It's not a physically demanding track in and of itself,
Hold your line.
but
Outside, hold your line.
mentally you're around so many cars so often. That's really what it's about, is you have to make yourself focus on trying to give them room, hoping they give you room, trying to stay out of the wall, off the apron in our case, running the bottom. A little surprised to see Ty Majeski running this far in the back of the field. He's had some really good runs in the Xfinity series. All right, so I see the 20 car is back on our bumper. So these guys have some speed. All right, I see the 12 car. Oh, that's Logano, and he is not. I was sure he was our 8th place car, but he is not. It looked like he was, yeah, he's 30th. Oh, look out, there's the 20 car.
Outside, hold your line.
Wow. I'm glad I did not try to block that move, because he was coming at a very high rate of speed. And I see we've got another visitor. Looks like the 88 car is right behind us as well.
Steady. All clear, all clear.
All right, looks like these guys have us beat on outright speed. The only benefit we have over them right now is that we get through lap traffic apparently a lot better than they do. Ooh, I did not get off that corner well. You could probably hear me on the throttle there. I was trying to massage it because it just would not turn. It would not turn. It would not turn. I just kept waiting for it to turn, and it just never did. So normally I'm used to being able to, because of the way I set up the car,
Hold your line.
if I just lift off the throttle a little bit, that will generally help the car to rotate. But with this setup, not so much. It's just plowing straight ahead. All right, 3 laps to go, and so far so good. The bad thing is I don't see anybody for position ahead of us. Let's see, that's Daniel Hemrick. I think I saw a glimpse of his name above the car in front of us up there. But I don't think we're going to have enough time to get to him, because I think it said he was in 8th. Yeah, that's Hemrick. I can see the car, the sort of a light blue car in front of us. Yeah, that's him in 8th. But unfortunately, we're on the last lap.
All clear, all clear.
All right, so there you go, folks. Wow, that was so much fun. We ended up finishing 9th. I can't even express to you how much fun that was. Now, the AI do some really crazy things, some of the dive bombing that they were doing on the bottom of the track, but that's fine. You just sort of expect that. And as long as they don't run me over and put me out of the race, then everything's fine. You just try to watch out for yourself. That's part of Bristol, particularly in this game. You just understand as much as you can about how the AI are going to drive the race, how they're going to drive each other, and how they're going to race you at the same time. And all of that goes into what I was talking about with this track being extremely mentally draining because of all the stress of, you're around so many other cars. You're 2 wide, you're 3 wide, you're on the top, you're on the bottom. You have to worry about the cars in front of you. Where are they going to go? Are they going to give you room? The cars behind you, are they going to give you room? Are they going to run you over? All these things going through your head. And oh, by the way, you're supposed to be going fast as well and trying to pass cars. So, all right, so we got what I think is a great finish, a top 10 finish. The setup, again, was supposed to be slower. That was the idea, but it handled good enough for us to get into the top 10, and I'm pretty happy about that. I'll make some notes so that next time we come back to Bristol, and I love saying that, we get to come to Bristol multiple times in the year. Maybe we can make an adjustment or two, maybe loosen this thing up a little bit and give ourselves a chance at maybe a top 5, maybe even a win. That's the overall goal, just so we can know what we're dealing with. So let's talk briefly about the point standings after the race. We are still in first, but only a 6-point lead now over Blake Cook. And then Elliott Sadler has, he's moved back to 3rd on the screen, but you can see they're tied for 2nd place in points. And then what I really like to see, our teammate, Justin Allgaier, and then William Byron also right up there. That's what I want to see. All of the junior motorsports cars up at the front of the pack, with all of us getting into the postseason. Those are the things I'm looking for. I like it when we have team success as well as individual success. All right, fastest lap. I have no idea how close or far we were from that because I never saw any lap times during that race. I was not even remotely paying attention to our speed. I was more worried about the cars that were around us and how many we could pass. All right, let's head back to the main menu. And let's see what's going to be next in store for us. Okay, so next we're going to be headed to Richmond in the Xfinity series. I'm never quite sure how many or how often we're going to be getting these hot seat offers in the Cup series. Since we didn't make our last one, we didn't meet the goal there. I'm not sure how that will affect the ones going forward, but I'm not really going to worry too much about that. This is all about the Xfinity series right now, and we'll worry about the Cup series at a later time. So right now you can see our 5-race incentive contract is not going well. Again, not at all worried about that. That is not a big deal for us. What I'm more excited about is that we're headed to another short track in Richmond. But of course, that will be in our next video. For now, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. All your support on not only this series, but all the series here on the channel. Thank you very much. And stay tuned for more NASCAR Heat 2 career mode gameplay.